What's some advice that you would offer to people who have had relationships broken down through this marriage debate that we've seen going across Australia for months now?
I think it's important to remember that we're now at the stage where we need to renew and restore relationships. And reconciliation is both a process and an outcome. So it's being patient with the healing process. What's often helpful is for us as human beings to recognize some of our tendencies. And we have this concept in social psychology where we recognize as humans we form in-groups and out-groups. We always like to put ourselves in the in-group, so we belong in the in-group, whatever our in-group might be. Whatever your belief was, that is your in-group. And we tend to be much more favorable of people who belong in our in-group. So we tend to make excuses for if they say the wrong thing or they're unkind, we make excuses for them and we give them grace, and we'll say things like, oh, Jim had a bad day today, or poor Jim, he must have been tired when he said that. When people in an out group, the other group to us, might say the same thing, we are very ungracious. We will apply stereotypes and we will say things, oh, well, look at him. That's so typical of his group. Can you believe it? They all do that. And so it's recognizing that in the way we process now in reconciliation. The answer now is to see ourselves and other people as part of a broader group together. So it's getting personal with people, finding out about their family, finding out about their dreams and their hopes and their fears. And the broader category becomes you as humans. I actually grew up in the apartheid era, and I remember very clearly when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission happened. There's an amazing quote by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and he said, when people need to forgive and reconciliation needs to happen between two groups, what we need is for people to see that they belong. They belong to a broader family, God's family, the human family. That becomes our broader category.
I love that. What are some practical tips then to start to restore this human family that you're talking about?
Well, I think we need to stop speaking. We need to listen. We need to appreciate each other's nuances and each other's narratives. It's time to stop with trying to prove our point. We need to sit back. We need to allow other people to have their say. We need to admit and even acknowledge when we have been wrong. We need to admit and acknowledge our part in the pain that somebody else is experiencing. I think those are really the important aspects of allowing ourselves to move forward with somebody else.
So in relation to this marriage vote, no matter what the result is going to be, and that will come out in just a couple of weeks, half of Australia will be disappointed.
Yes.
How important is it that we accept the outcome in moving forward?
I think acceptance is the first step towards forgiveness and reconciliation. I think we need to remember that whenever there's a hostile episode, it creates stress, which is bad for us. It's bad for our bodies, it's bad for our mental health, but not just ourselves. There's other generations that this can and will cause pain to if we don't start working towards some form of healing. And so we need to remember that there's children and there's young people at risk, that we need to take ourselves out of the picture now, and we need to really work at how we can help them to heal and remember other people are involved. So essentially, as Christians, the Christian message is to recognize other people's worth, that other people have dignity, that other people matter more than ourselves, particularly now in this circumstance. And I think that is, if we're disappointed, we've got to move past that now and recognize other people.
And we know that many people on both sides of this debate have been hurt. There's been vandalism and bullying and assaults towards people in the street, people of faith, people from the gay community, and a lot of people are feeling damaged and unsafe.
Yes.
So if there's someone in our world who is in that situation, how can we help someone who we know is hurting?
we need to remember whenever there's any form of trauma or pain, people's fight or flight response kicks in. So what that looks like is people will sometimes withdraw or they will go on the attack. If we are trying to reach out to a loved one, we need to actually close our mouths, stop talking, and listen. We need to give them space to talk about their hurt, give them space to talk about the pain and what's happened for them without us trying to give platitudes or answers or defend our opinions. It's not time for that anymore. So as soon as people are allowed to voice what they feel, and we ask them to specifically name their hurt, when they give names to their hurt, it gives them a space to be free and be heard. The minute people feel heard, they feel as though they are now on the path towards healing. People just need someone to acknowledge them and go, I hear you. And when you have done wrong, it's now time for you to ask for forgiveness. Acknowledge your part if you have caused pain without giving excuses for why you might have said what you said or did what you did. Just ask them for forgiveness. And they may not want to forgive you immediately. The Christian response is to then hang back and wait for them and just keep extending love and keep extending openness and open arms when people are in pain.